Subscribe for more.
I never imagined my marriage would hinge on a single sentence spoken without shame or hesitation. My name is Daniel Crow, 39, married 12 years to Eleanor, who once said I was her safe place. We lived a quiet life in Kent, paid our bills, hosted barbecues, laughed politely. I believed stability was love. One evening she sat across from me, calm, eye steady, and said she wanted a night with another man. No anger. No apology. Just certainty. She framed it as honesty, growth, exploration. In that moment, the room felt smaller, and something inside me went still. I did not shout or accuse her of betrayal, because she insisted it was not that. She said desires change, people evolve, and love should be flexible. I listened, nodding, noticing how prepared she sounded. She had thought this through long before speaking. She even named him, casually, Marcus Hale, someone from her gym. She said it would mean nothing, just one night. She waited for my reaction, perhaps anger, perhaps pleading. Instead, I felt a cold clarity settle. I realized this was not about permission. It was about respect already lost. That understanding changed everything I thought I knew. I told her I needed time, not to decide, but to understand myself. That night I barely slept, staring at the ceiling, replaying our years together. I remembered birthdays I planned, moves I financed, silences I swallowed. I was not a jealous man, nor a controlling one. I believed trust was earned through consistency. Yet here I was, asked to bless my own replacement, however briefly. By morning, the shock faded, replaced by something steadier. I saw two paths ahead, both difficult, both revealing who we truly were now. The decision would define my dignity and her future choices alone. The next evening, I sat her down again, voice steady, heart surprisingly calm. I told her she had two choices, not ultimatums, just realities. The first was simple. She could take that night with Marcus, explore whatever she imagined awaited her, but she would do it as a single woman. Our marriage would end cleanly, respectfully, without drama. I would not fight her, nor finance her freedom. The second choice required commitment. She would cut contact with him entirely, attend counseling with me, and rebuild trust deliberately, knowing I would never forget this moment and consequences whichever path she selected. She stared at me, stunned, as if she expected rage instead of boundaries. She asked if I was serious, accused me of being manipulative. I told her manipulation hides motives, while mine were clear. I loved her, but I loved myself enough to refuse half measures. There would be no open marriage, no temporary hall passes, no pretending this would not change us forever. I said I would not share my wife, and I would not remain where I was unwanted. Silence stretched between us, heavy and revealing, filled with everything unsaid for years that poisoned our connection over time. Eleanor did not answer immediately. She walked into the kitchen, poured water, hands shaking slightly. I watched her, noticing how unfamiliar she seemed. Finally, she said she felt trapped, that my certainty scared her. I replied that confusion was natural, but choice demanded courage. She said she needed to think, maybe talk to friends. I nodded, knowing outside voices would cheer freedom without cost. That night, she slept in the guest room. I lay awake, strangely peaceful, having reclaimed something I had slowly surrendered long before she ever admitted wanting someone else and before I learned silence can be abandonment. The following afternoon, she told me her decision. She would take the night, she said softly, claiming she needed to feel desired again. I listened without interrupting, then stood up. I told her I hoped she found whatever she was searching for. I packed a suitcase calmly, essentials only, and left the house before sunset. There were no tears, no shouting, just a quiet finality. As I drove away, I felt grief, but also relief. I was no longer negotiating my worth with someone unwilling to value it even when my loyalty had been proven repeatedly through years of effort. In the weeks that followed, the narrative shifted quickly. Friends called, some sympathetic, some confused. A few hinted I overreacted, that modern relationships required flexibility. I disagreed silently. Flexibility without mutual respect is erosion, not progress. Eleanor messaged once, saying the night had been complicated, that she missed our stability. I did not respond. I had offered clarity when it mattered. I found a small flat in Canterbury, resumed routines, cooked for one, slept deeply. Each day, the weight lifted slightly, replaced by quiet self-trust built through hard choices and refusal to accept less than genuine partnership and respect. Months later, I heard she regretted her decision. The freedom she chased felt hollow, and the man she chose did not stay. That knowledge brought no satisfaction. I did not win anything. I simply stopped losing myself. I learned that love without desire becomes obligation, and obligation without appreciation becomes resentment. The night she asked for another man was not the end of my marriage. It was the moment the truth finally spoke clearly enough for me to listen without fear, guilt, or hope blinding my judgment anymore. I accepted reality and chose dignity over comfort for the first time. I tell this story because many men confuse endurance with strength. They believe staying silent is noble, that providing is enough to be loved. It is not. Love requires presence, desire, and mutual care. When those disappear, clinging only delays the inevitable. I did not punish Eleanor. I honored both of us by refusing a lie. She chose her night. I chose my future. Sometimes the bravest act is not fighting for someone, but walking away when staying costs you yourself everything you work to build and protect through years of loyalty, patience, and quiet sacrifice that often goes unseen.